Moving on to our second trend, given the expanding focus of companies' leadership development programs, really kind of highlights the importance of talent identification and its criticality, ensuring that these programs are really kind of pulling in not only those current, but also emerging talents. And again, that those programs are really providing access to a very broad and diverse segment of our employee population. What we're also seeing, however, is that this process is becoming more challenging. In particular, it's given shifts that we've seen in different work models, it's becoming paramount to make sure that we don't let biases creep into the process that may potentially limit or restrict the access to these programs of certain groups. One of these challenges really comes from the growing use of remote and hybrid work models across companies. What we've heard from companies is that these models increase the distance, both kind of physical distance, but also psychological distance between leaders and their followers that can make it more difficult for leaders to get to know the people that they manage and also accurately assess their potential and their contributions. Relatedly, a number of companies share with us concerns they have that the proximity that leaders have to different followers may influence or may introduce certain biases in talent evaluations. Either consciously or perhaps unconsciously, leaders may develop stronger or more favorable relationships with followers that they work with more closely in person. And they may distribute work assignments differently depending on employees' physical location. And indeed, research has shown that employees who spend the majority of their time working remotely are less likely to be promoted compared to their similarly performing office-based counterparts. What this suggests is that the kind of out of sight, out of mind phenomenon might really be a real concern as we think about remote work and its potential implications for career development. Finally, there's the potential that employees who prefer remote or hybrid work models may opt out of leadership roles that require them to be physically present. A number of years ago, in fact, I worked on a project for a company and we were brought into that company, which had a very large remote workforce. And we were asked by the company to explore this issue because what the company was experiencing was they were offering employees kind of promotions, but those promotions would often require remote employees to return to more in-person types of work arrangements. Many employees were passing up those promotions because they wanted to maintain the flexibility offered by their hybrid or remote work arrangement. So there's a potential that companies may be planning for people to have certain roles in the future, but if those roles really require more physical presence, employees may opt out as an effort to maintain their flexibility. I think these challenges kind of boil down to several key issues that companies will need to wrestle with. One is certainly being more vigilant about ensuring that biases do not skew talent assessments. Perhaps, one good news on this front is that we've also heard during the pandemic, many companies doubled down on kind of digitizing employee skill and performance information. This information can be leveraged in talent assessments and discussions and perhaps can serve as a way to ensure that these biases are counteractive if they do creep in. Also, companies will need to question, I believe, which leadership positions really require employees to be on site. There are likely to be some, if not many, leadership roles that can be performed effectively from a distance, particularly when the employees that a person may be leading are in fact themselves working in hybrid or remote arrangements. Being clear about which roles may be able to be performed virtually may create opportunities for individuals that otherwise would have passed them up if they were required to be on site full time.